In all fairness, stand-up paddleboarding looks much harder than it actually is. While there are many things that I wish I knew when I first started, over the years I gathered useful tips for beginners. Tip number 1, where to set the board in the water. So you're all set to go with your paddleboard. You put your board in the water, get on top, and you're not going anywhere because your fin is stuck in the ground. While that mistake might seem obvious, it actually happens more frequently to beginners than you would think. So before you break the fin to your new SUP, put the board further out into the water before climbing on top. Tip number 2, when you get on top, start with your knees. Depending on where you load in, you might want to get a pair of water shoes to protect your feet from the rocky river. But once you climb onto the board, start with your knees, straighten yourself forward, and center yourself within the board. Most SUPs have a handle that marks the center. Tip number 3, how to stand up and where on the board to stand up. While you're in a push-up position, center on the board, lay your paddle flat horizontally in front of you, and use your arms to bring one leg up centered near the handle, and the next leg perpendicular. Make sure you're using your arms to keep yourself and the board balanced in the process of standing. When standing, make sure both of your feet are facing forward. Also, many people think that it's easier to stand up while moving, so row a couple of times on your knees, then begin standing up. Next tip, don't stand on it like you're standing on a surfboard. The very first thing I did once I got my paddleboard in the water is I stand on it like a surfboard. What I should have done beforehand was to find a video like this to learn a few basics of how to stand up on a paddleboard, but it is absolutely not sideways like a surfboard. But unless you're surfing waves with a lot of forward momentum, keeping balance while standing sideways was annoyingly difficult and made my first trip more stressful than enjoyable. It took until my second trip to find out the magical secret of standing forward. Here is yet another tip I wish I knew beforehand. I actually didn't find this out until after our first SUP travel video, but have your paddle faced away from you where the paddle slant is curved towards the front of the SUP board. Since finding that out, my speed improved, the ease of paddling improved, maneuverability improved, and the tracking drastically improved. Tracking basically means the ability to keep rowing forward, and tracking will improve if you hold the paddle the correct way. And for this next tip, it's for those who haven't purchased a board yet, and that's the taller you are, the larger the board you need. But if you're 5'4" like me, you don't have to worry about a thing. Next tip, how to properly fall. If you find yourself losing balance, just purposely fall into the water. Don't try to catch yourself or fall on the board. Falling on the board hurts, whereas falling into the water is actually pretty fun and doesn't hurt. Next tip, start in calm water. There are so many incredible places to paddle, but if you're new, start off in calm water. It wouldn't be long till you naturally develop muscle memory and balance that'll free you to paddle wherever you please. But keep in mind, many SUP areas have boats. So if a boat comes by, simply drop on your knees until the boat wake passes over. That's if you're new. After a little bit of experience, when the boat wake comes in, you'll actually think it's kind of fun because you can, you know what I mean? But when boat wake comes in, it's also best to try and keep your board facing towards the waves rather than the waves hitting your board at an angle. And the most dangerous place to be when boat wake comes in is near shore. So just be wary of that when you're going up near shore. Last tip, and I'm sure many of you don't want to hear this, beginners, consider wearing a life jacket. And if your paddleboard has one, wear the ankle leash. It might also be wise to go with a few people as well your first few times, just in case if, I don't know, something happens or whatever. And that's it. Those are my 12 tips. I hope you, hope any of this helped. Hopefully at least one or two of these helped, if not all of them. If you like travel and adventure, subscribe to this channel. Check out our merch in the description below and have a blessed day.